Cluster bombs. Ukraine using munitions, effectively, says U.S. The White House has confirmed that Ukraine is using U.S. cluster bombs against Russian forces in the country. National Security spokesman John Kirby said initial feedback suggested they were being used, effectively, on Russian defensive positions and operations. Cluster bombs scatter multiple bomblets and are banned by more than 100 states due to their threat to civilians. The U.S. agreed to supply them to boost Ukrainian ammunition supplies. Ukraine has promised the bombs will only be used to dislodge concentrations of Russian enemy soldiers. They are using them appropriately, Mr. Kirby said. They're using them effectively and they are actually having an impact on Russia's defensive formations and Russia's defensive maneuvering. I think I can leave it at that. The U.S. decided to send cluster bombs after Ukraine warned that it was running out of ammunition during its summer counteroffensive, which has been slower and more costly than many had hoped. President Joe Biden called the decision very difficult, while its allies the UK, Canada, New Zealand and Spain opposed their use. The vast majority sent are artillery shells with a lower than 2.35% dud rate, a reference to the percentage of bomblets which do not explode immediately and can remain a threat for years. The weapons are effective when used against troops in trenches and fortified positions, as they render large areas too dangerous to move around in until cleared. Amsterdam bans cruise ships to limit visitors and curb pollution. Amsterdam's council has banned cruise ships from the city center as the Dutch capital tries to limit visitor numbers and curb pollution. Politicians said the vessels were not in line with the city's sustainable ambitions. It means the central cruise terminal on the river IJ near Amsterdam's main train station will close. It is the latest measure to clamp down on mass tourism in the city. Cruise ships have become a symbol of the problem, with more than 100 mooring in the capital every year. The council has been trying to scrub up the city, banning cannabis smoking on the streets of the red light district. In March, the city launched an online campaign urging young British men considering holding their bachelor parties in Amsterdam to stay away. Amsterdam has become a victim of its own popularity, attracting 20 million annual visitors, some drawn by its party city reputation. Cruise ships in the center of the city don't fit in with Amsterdam's task of cutting the number of tourists, said Alana Ruderkerk of the Liberal D66 party, which runs the city along with the Labour Party and environmentalists. Ms. Ruderkerk recently compared cruise tourists to a type of plague of locusts, descending all at once on the city. Other Amsterdam officials have balked at that kind of language. But Mayor Femke Halsema complained last year that cruise tourists were let loose for a couple of hours, ate at international chains and had no time to visit a museum, consuming the city but doing little for it. The other key reason for removing cruise ships is to lower air pollution levels in Amsterdam. A 2021 study of one big cruise ship found that it had produced the same levels of nitrogen oxides, NOx, in one day as 30,000 trucks. Other mooring sites away from the city center have been under consideration for some time but no decision has yet been taken. In a separate development, Amsterdam has announced plans to beef up nighttime culture for young people. The city has outlined its aim to find nightclub locations such as disused tunnels and garages to develop the talent of creative young people who want to organize something at night.